When I thought like AI in medicine, it wasn't like that obvious for me in the very first moment. But I remember like a year, maybe 2 years ago, when generative AI became a huge thing, and ChatGPT and all over the place, right? And one of the first professions that were on like a short list for actually professions to vanish hugely was medical doctors. Because like, why do you need to go to a doctor whose knowledge by definition is limited if you can have an algorithm that knows all the books, all the history, everything? Yeah, but there still are medical doctors, right?
Exactly. No, I don't think that the medical doctors will vanish in the future. So I think it's even more that we can say AI will support the medical doctors to even make a better and more precise diagnosis or examination of the patients. So I think this is really where we see the future is going. I can guarantee you medical doctors will not disappear. It would also not be good because my older one will become a medical doctor and I don't want to get this job rid of him. So, but I think AI is fascinating for us, and I think we are still at the very, very beginning. And as you've mentioned, there are still a lot of questions. How will this impact the day-to-day work of the physicians? How will this impact the research? How will this impact bringing innovation to our patients in need? And as I said, we are still at the very beginning, but I think we already see the first positive impacts. As we said, the diagnostics is becoming better. So this means that the physician can make a better recommendation related to the treatment, right? And we have still to think about, you always have a human being in front of you, and all the algorithm of the world will never ever can tell you how this individual needs to be treated. I think there is still the human touch needed in the future.
You said that we're in the beginning, and then you asked so many questions that we don't know the answers to. I will have to cross out a few of the questions that I wrote because those were the questions actually. No, but seriously, so what are the main areas where you see AI has huge potential in medicine? Where is it heading, and in which areas?
So I think from my point of view, there are three main areas. So firstly, I think with AI, we can accelerate the development of new innovative treatments. And we still have a huge unmet medical need. Even when we have already treatments available, there is always more that can be done for our patients. So I think this will be tremendously a game changer because we can use artificial intelligence to analyze huge and big data, how we call this, which we are not using currently. We are creating every day so much data, and with algorithms supported by artificial intelligence, I think we can better understand the course of the diseases. We can go more towards predictive analytics. So are there patients with specific preconditions that might have a higher risk to suffer from this disease? This is all what we can do based on artificial intelligence. And this is the reason why I said it's already at the beginning, because we have started to do this. The diagnosis. I think the other big element is the acceleration of bringing it to the patients in need. On average, the development of a drug takes around 10 years. Out of 10,000 compounds, only one compound is making it to the clinical trial, where we really say, look, now we are ready. We know the compound really good, and now we can also test it in a broader patient population. With artificial intelligence, we can even generate, it will help us to process the insights that we have generated throughout our development path even faster. So the outcome, the drug recommendations, the dosing recommendations, for example, can be way more improved. And I think lastly, with going more towards precision medicine, more the individualized approach, so I'm just saying the right treatment for the right patients at the right time will also help us to manage our healthcare costs better. Because if I'm starting with the right treatment, the patient is recovering faster, there are less side effects, they are being reintegrated way faster into society, back to work, and this also will help us in a more general point of view also to manage the healthcare costs of the future.
This is somewhat surprising for a person from outside of the industry maybe, but I would think that precision medicine, so actually picking the right treatment for this very patient would be very non-algorithmic. I would say algorithm, I would guess. Algorithm is a global sort of a thing, and then comes the doctor and says, okay, this is precisely for you. How does it, so if it's the opposite, how does it work then?
So I think when we go and we use, as I said, look, for us at the moment, the most critical part is that we have access to this data that is around. And based on that data, we can then truly either go more towards specific markers in a patient, or we can go more towards gene therapies. We also can look at different predispositions. So for example, in lung cancer, we know that it's a very fragmented disease and there is really no drug works for every patient. So you're starting with one drug, maybe the outcome is kind of mediocre, then you see, well, the outcome can be better, then you go to the next drug and to the next one. So for the patient, it's not very easy because constantly being on the treatment is also very impactful for them, right? And has a very significant impact also on the outcome of the treatment. So when we are starting, before we are starting a treatment and we do this diagnosis supported by artificial intelligence because we were able to analyze these big data lakes, we can say a patient that comes in with these kind of conditions, maybe to start the treatment with this medication would be the best way to start with.
So what are we better than AI in? What is not AI capable of? Where does the human being come in and say, like, I don't know, science maybe, or
as you said at the very beginning, right? So will the professional of a healthcare professional, of a doctor, will go away? And I think AI can process a lot of data, right? But AI is not empathic. And AI cannot really screen and see in what kind of psychological condition the patient is. I think this is still...
Well, just watching what GPT is capable of, still, I would say it kind of,
Well, but I think still you have a human being in front of you, right? And of course we have certain data, but I think the human being stays and the interaction with the physician will stay. But I think the collaboration between the patient and the physician can significantly be improved with artificial intelligence, providing the right tools, providing the basis, or a data or fact-based decision making.
Well, you represent, a corporation, a company, a huge organism, and from this perspective is, I would guess, somewhat different. But then you have this, as you said, this cooperation between whatever the tool is and the person. And are those persons, are those people ready to utilize such tools, or is it again? We're in the very beginning of the process.
I think we are still at the beginning, and we see that the conversations that we have with our physicians are starting to integrate the thinking of artificial intelligence and how artificial intelligence can help us to improve the patient's life faster and more effective. Having said that, we are not doing this in splendid isolation. So our development is in very close collaboration with the medical community. And we rely on their expertise because they see the patients every day. We don't do this, right? And based on their feedback and how it goes and how the day-to-day work is going on with them and how this day-to-day work will also impact the patient's outcome, this is what we do. And with the conversation and the close collaboration with the healthcare community, this is where then artificial intelligence can help us to accelerate the better outcome.
So if, again, we're in the beginning of knowing what that will be capable of, it's hard to predict where this will lead us, but maybe you can predict the next steps, 1 or 2. Where is it heading right now? What are the most important directions that AI in medicine is taking?
I mean, maybe I can bring an example. When we're talking about inherited retinal diseases, we are talking about 2 million patients around the world that are at risk to lose their ability to see. And this is a gene mutation, not a positive one, it's a bad one. They will lose their ability to see over their course of their life. With artificial intelligence helping us to identify firstly this gene and then trying to turn this negative gene mutation into a positive one, we will be able, or we have been able, for example, to either stop the progression of the disease, and this means that the patient can keep the level of his ability to see, or even they will never ever have this risk to lose their ability to see. So I think this is, for me, a very striking example how artificial intelligence can help us to look even deeper on gene level of specific biomarkers these patients have. And this is what I meant with this individual therapy, because this therapy is individualized to this patient.
Is this definitely where healthcare science, medicine, is heading? And are those the tools that will inevitably be used in medicine? I mean, you know, artificial intelligence in this way or another, or you know, maybe is it possible in 2 years there's something new? How do you
I mean, absolutely, that? Right? So I think we want to make bold moves here. If it's in 2 years, I cannot guarantee you, but at least we are very dedicated to get there, because we still say we want to go where medicine or where the science is going, and we want to not be only a part of it. We also want to drive that. And I think, from my point of view, there will be a lot of changes. And I think in a couple of years, will it be in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? I think we will have an even better opportunity to look at the individual patient and then make a very individual and very positive decision for this patient.
Do you have like a, well, not a plan probably, because it's too hard to predict where everything's heading, a goal or a dream that you would want to see in real life, you know, in connection to what you're doing right now?
Yeah. I think our big goal is here, where we can see diseases are a topic of the past. So that's our vision.
Yeah,
right?
that's huge.
But it's a very bold vision. But I think we are on a good way here, and looking into how the demographic is developing. We will always have changes, because we will become older. We are exposed to different environmental influencing factors. But I think, from our point of view, we really want to address the individual patient as good as it gets. We want to address these high unmet medical needs, and I think we will never run out of it. So therefore, a bold vision that we can say one day diseases are a matter of the past.
So this is, you know, obviously a huge opportunity to utilize technology as much as possible. And we have, this is what it's like when you're being clocked. Okay, yeah. So I know what everyone's experiencing here now. The challenge. What are the challenges in there?
I think one of the biggest challenges that we are currently facing is what I've mentioned earlier, is the access to the data that is already around. Because we should leverage the data that we have instead of once again generating new one. Because when we understand how diseases are developing, the courses of the disease, where specific mutations are coming in, how, for example, specific predispositions like family history, etc., is playing, I think this will help us, and therefore artificial intelligence is playing a very important part in here. However, the access at the moment for us is really where we want to also collaborate with our stakeholders.
Well, you know, fingers crossed for your goals. Geraldine, Schenk, everyone, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.